I'm joined here with Todd Robinson, and he's the Director of Education with the Lloydminster Public School Division. Now, this year has obviously presented challenges and many difficulties, but what are some of the highlights for the division this year?
Yeah, as I think back on the 2020 year, it's been an interesting year for sure. It's something we could have never predicted with the pandemic starting in early March and the impact that's had on education. So when I think about what's really cool about this year, the first thing that comes to mind is back in June when we used a unique approach to graduation, reshaped graduation. We had over 300 kids take part in a drive-through graduation ceremony at both Avery and LCHS. And I was so proud of our students. It was so awesome to be able to recognize that event with our families. And our school staff just did an absolutely exemplary job of hosting those events and making it memorable and special for our kids, because it is a really, really significant milestone in the lives of those children and families. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I think we started this year in the pandemic, and so getting our reopening plan off the ground, the cooperation we had from families and staff to kind of get things organized and moving forward. Just can't say enough how much that meant to us as an organization and how much we appreciated that support. Thirdly, I would say, we've had a really cool announcement around a capital project at LCHS that's going to reshape that school. It's going to reshape delivery in our system as a whole and allow us to relocate our grade 9s to the comprehensive high school starting in September 23. So that was pretty exciting. So, I mean, you know what? It's been a challenging year, but there's always some really cool things that happen in a school year. And those are some things that come to mind for me.
How have you seen teachers and other staff in LPSD adjust to these changes?
I would just say unbelievably well. I just can't say enough about the resiliency that I've seen from our staff and our students. I mean, as as the community knows, the direction around how to respond to the pandemic has sometimes changed on a dime, and we've had to pivot and do things differently. We've had groups of students and staff that have had to isolate. It hasn't been without challenge. It hasn't been without sacrifice on the part of our staff and their families. But at the end of the day, we're in a good spot. People have done an exemplary job, and I just could not be more proud of them. And we look forward to continuing to work with them and working with our families going forward. And I'm sure there'll be challenges ahead. But we have got an amazing team in Lloydminster Public School Division, a team that I just simply couldn't be more proud of.
What are some of the improvements that you've seen in school this year that have maybe carried on from years past?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm going to go back to June and talk a little bit about the key metrics that we follow on our system and the reports that come out around how our students are doing. So in June, once again, Lloydminster Public School Division students are doing amazingly well on the key measures around reading at grade 3. We have continue to have a higher percentage of students reading at grade 3 than the majority of the province. Our graduation rate continued to improve last year, and we're near the top of the province in that regard. So, in that way, those are huge celebrations from a school system. That's our core business. Other things I've seen is just, commitment to work together and cooperate and problem solve in a year that's really difficult. We've always been really good at that in our system, but I would say we've even upped that a notch this year, which is really, really amazing. And then the other thing that's, a really interesting takeaway is I've noticed just the cooperation from our kids. Our students have been absolutely amazing this year. We've had very little issues with regards to significant behavior. They've been very cooperative, very respectful. Not that we always don't have great kids, but I think they've recognized that we're navigating a difficult time right now, and they've been key players in helping us be successful.
And speaking of students, to see that they get involved in community initiatives and other community projects, what is it like for you to see that involvement in them?
Well, that's one of the best parts of the job. That's what I would say about that. I would say it warms my heart. I think basically in education, what we're here for is to give kids basic skills and equip them to be high functioning citizens in our community and our country. And I see just multiple pieces of evidence across Lloydminster Public School Division where kids are contributing to the greater good in our community, serving those that are vulnerable, contributing and trying to make things better in the lives and experiences for not only other children, but some of our seniors in the community, just some of the service that's given back to them, supporting neighborhoods around schools, shoveling snow, doing all that sort of stuff. I mean, these are things that are just absolutely amazing. They're led by teachers that are committed and plugged into the ideals about what education's all about. And so, yeah, for me in my chair, I get to see all of that. And that is absolutely the best part of the job and something that we really are proud of in Lloydminster Public School Division.
And looking ahead, what are you hoping to accomplish in this school year and next school years across the division?
I think as I look ahead over the next year, I see two different phases to the year. I think I see a phase from now till June, which is still going to be very much impacted by the pandemic as we wait for a vaccine and navigate what seems to be a difficult context right now around infection rates in our community. And so for me right now, the focus is around wellness for our staff and wellness for our kids, making sure that we've got supports for mental health, that we've got people available to support the needs that present themselves, that we really focus on gratitude and support for each other as colleagues. And then as we navigate through the pandemic, it'll be a focus on instituting a new education plan in the province of Saskatchewan that will guide education for the next 10 years. And I think as an organization, we'll have an opportunity to rethink our mission and our vision and our values and make sure that those are aligned and really hear from our community and our staff and our kids about what Lloyd Public should be all about for the next 10 years as we move forward. So I think those are kind of what I see going ahead, Jasmine, as being key initiatives and key parts of our programming and our work over the next 8 to 10 months.
And is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just I would say the one thing that maybe I haven't had a chance to say is how thankful we are to our parents and our community. Our community continues to support our schools in powerful ways, giving back to us and supporting us in the work that we're doing. And parents, just thank you so much for your flexibility, your understanding, and your patience as we've navigated a tricky time in education. But we couldn't do it without you, and we're very thankful for that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Todd.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.